A year into the COVID-19 pandemic, Brazil is in the grip of a devastating second wave that claimed around 66,500 lives in March. To date, Brazil has lost around 350,000 people to COVID, placing it second only to the United States in overall fatalities. With the native, more transmissible P1 variant dominant, the surge is expected to worsen in the coming weeks. With intensive care units all over the country full or nearly full, many are now dying while waiting for an ICU bed to free up. Maria Lombardini, who's been resident in Brazil for 8 years, helps us make sense of the situation there.
At the beginning, it was really, you could really see when you went to the supermarket or you had to drive from one place to another, there was the street was absolutely empty. We could see this. And as from June, everything started gradually to reopen somehow, and people started to go back to the streets. Wearing face masks is mandatory. Every time you get into a place, you have to wear a face mask. People wear face masks. The thing is, like, there are some restrictions which have been imposed as from yesterday for, they say, for 10 days. But as, like, the day before yesterday, there were no restrictions at all. Like, at least where I am right now, Sao Paulo and Rio closed, and they had some restrictions, like bars and restaurants should close at, I don't know, 9 p.m. or no more than that, actually. Like public schools are not working in Brazil.
Lockdowns in Brazil have been implemented by state and city governments only, and never at national level, with right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro insisting the economy must come before all.
Nossa vida tem que continuar.
If that sounds familiar, it's not the only similarity between Bolsonaro's response to the pandemic and his friend Donald Trump's. Bolsonaro has repeatedly undermined the severity of the pandemic, clashed with health advisors, and promoted ineffective treatments. I asked Maria if people there seem to be taking the pandemic seriously in the last year, or if they're following Bolsonaro's lead.
For what I see, some people are, and some people are staying at home, and some people are being careful when they go out or how they socialize, because at some point we all socialize somehow, but you can do this with taking lots of care about different things, staying outdoors and being socially distanced, and there's quite a lot of people really going with this, but it's like on the hands of these people. And I've seen parties, I've seen big parties going on. I've seen like bars as crowded as usual, people behaving as usual, beaches as crowded as usual, shopping malls as crowded as usual. It is probably related to Bolsonaro's attitude. Yes, some 30% of Brazilian population voted for him a couple of years ago. Out of these 30%, some people realized things are not really the way they expected, probably. But quite a big number of people, a big percentage of these people are still feeling this person is some kind of idol in an irrationally way, probably. During some periods where the restrictions were stricter, the president of this country was the person in charge of going out and calling people to get together and shaking hands, not wearing face masks. So yes, probably some people's attitude is related to this kind of model.
Fake news and disinformation have been rampant in Brazil during the pandemic, as they were during Bolsonaro's election campaign.
There has been an anti-lockdown movement, people denying the existence of the virus or the danger of the virus. Nowadays is getting like a bit harder for them to keep to the discourse. But last year, there were some kind of protests and get together, and some of them were encouraged by Bolsonaro himself.
Bolsonaro's approval rating actually rose last year after the Senate passed a bill pledging financial support until the end of the year for informal workers and for mothers supporting families. With an estimated 20% of Brazil's 211 million people living in poverty, many find themselves better off in the government handouts, the equivalent of about €90 a month. In the wake of this second wave, though, Bolsonaro's approval rating has taken a nosedive, while another boon to the Brazilian left and the well-being of the planet came in the recent overturning of a corruption conviction for popular ex-president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, leaving him free to challenge Bolsonaro in 2022's elections. With less than 10% of Brazilians vaccinated against COVID after Bolsonaro dragged his feet on acquiring doses, the traumatising scenes in the hospitals and cemeteries of Brazil look set to continue for a while yet.